And I'm back. And I'm back. And I'm back. Y'all hear my little fan? I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. The clicks and clacks might get annoying, bro. But I'm sorry, bro. It's hot, bro. It's hot in my room, bro. It feel like a lot right now. It feel very hot. I feel like I'm sitting outside. And I don't want to feel like that. Yeah, lucky I don't got the big fan blowing this. It blow loud. Very loud. But what's good, everybody? It's your boy Thtman.x, and I'm back with another reaction video. Today, I'm reacting to, when did people start smoking weed? I don't know if this is a controversial take, but I was thinking, like, if I was president and I had to ban one thing from the whole world, it would either be corn or weed or drugs, period. It's one of the two. It's either corn or drugs. I'm taking one of the two. Dead homies. How long y'all think I'll last as president if I banned either of those two? How long y'all think I'll last? But man, I'm just so curious. Like, people, yeah, man, I just want to know, when did people start smoking weed? I never smoked in my life, never drink or smoke. So I don't know how it feels to inhale or intake this plant. So we're gonna find out, when did people start smoking? Like, who was the first person? You know what? I'm gonna smoke this. I want to know who the first person was, and why did they do it? And who was the first person to milk a cow? What was they doing? Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. I ain't gonna say too much. Christ is king, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Build our relationship with Jesus Christ.
Weed, cannabis, the good kush, sweet Mary Jane. She's been around a long time, over 5,000 years in fact, and in that time the infamous drug has racked up some incredible stories and uses. How did this bud ignite a war? Why does India have a weed milkshake? And
really, I didn't know that.
In the 1930s, they made an infamously bad propaganda film about how weed would turn you into a psychopathic killer. We're going to tell you all this and more. Welcome to the wild,
I think they were tripping on that one.
Of weed. Let's begin with the basics. What exactly is weed?
What is
Marijuana
cannabis?
Is a drug that comes from the cannabis plant.
Right.
An ancient flora that's been used all over the world for centuries for its medicinal, spiritual, and agricultural properties. The latter is more commonly known as hemp. The seeds of the plant can be used for food. The oils and fibers produced by hemp can be made into clothing, paper, and ropes, which was very useful as those things were in high demand. And one plant can
What
do
she got?
it.
Hoodie on? What she
Now,
serve or
we're not
something?
really sure when exactly the cannabis plant popped out of the ground, since we weren't alive back then.
Right.
Unless there's a secret immortal hiding away the truth. And
I ain't gonna lie, it had to be some demons. It gotta be them demons. Cause I believe, like, when the fallen angels came down to earth, bro, I feel like they was just telling humans to do anything. Like, they was just telling them about all the bad stuff. And then they probably knew about weed. It was like, bro, smoke this gang. You gonna feel like a superhero. And they probably did it. They did do it because we're here.
Please let us know in the comments.
It had to be.
We know
It
it's
had to be a
incredibly
demon.
old. That much is certain. Lucky for us, there are scientists dedicated to finding out the answers. They haven't found all of them yet, but we hear they're still looking. So for the sake of brevity, let's keep this to weed's history with the human race. Our name had been established as a which brings us to China. Cannabis sativa, weed's maiden name, had been established as a useful farming crop in this region due to its fast-growing nature and ability to produce textiles, fiber, and grain. Around 2700 BC, legendary Chinese emperor Shen Nong, whose
my bad, y'all. This is lagging. I don't know if y'all can see the lag just like how I'm seeing it, but I'm gonna just pause it real quick. Let my old computer reboot. Hold on, let's give it 5 seconds. And we're back. Let's alright. Hopefully it rebooted.
2700 BC, legendary Chinese emperor Shen Nong,
Oh, it didn't work.
whose name means divine farmer or divine husbandman, reportedly discovered the health benefits of the plant, using it to treat a variety of ailments which were cataloged in a book known by many names. Still, his friends call it Thtman.x, the divine husbandman's materia medica. The emperor earned a new title thanks to his teachings, now considered the father of Chinese medicine. Most of us are lucky if we get one cool
So
title in our
they
life.
started using weed
Shen Nong couldn't
for
get enough.
healing, and then they start putting fentanyl in it. Crazy world. Hey, we need to see a video where fentanyl started.
How MJ became global.
'Cause I'm curious
after
about
its
that. I remember it
debut
just
is
came out of
likely
nowhere.
Thanks to the infamous ancient trading route, the Silk Road, or Silk Route. This 4,000-mile journey between China and Europe is believed to be the key in how cannabis spread its leafy wings and took people higher, quite literally, as one of the travel paths merchants took up into the Pamir Mountains.
Pamir
These
Mountains, where is that?
contain Jerzankal Cemetery, an ancient burial site that would unknowingly shine a light on some massive weed mysteries. Approximately 2,500 years later, these tombs were excavated, and you'll never guess what
Yeah,
they
and
found.
digging up graves
That's
is
right,
disrespectful.
Bones that were carbon dated to about 500 BC.
Uh,
Buried with the
BC,
bones
that's before
were
Christ.
wooden burners that would burn a special plant. Can you guess which one? It was cannabis sativa. If you
Cannabis
guessed that, feel free
sativa.
to take any prize from the middle shelf. Historians and archaeologists have extrapolated that ancient mourners in this area would add cannabis seeds to the hot stones and inhale smoke while burying the deceased or visiting. The oldest known evidence of humans smoking the herb. We told you this stuff was old school. They don't call it the OG Kush for nothing. Whether ritualistic or to simply hide the rotting stench of the corpses with its distinctive
Oh, so
smell.
they was hiding the smell of dead bodies with weed? I can only imagine that,
The
man.
cannabis found in those braziers was unique when compared to previously found
It
specimens.
is to get
It
high
contained
off
a
it.
high level of tetrahydrocannabinol. Now, for those of us who can't afford $5 words, THC. The psychoactive chemical is what stimulates the brain and allows one to enter a higher plane while smoking a bowl, metaphorically
look at that.
speaking. In 440 BC, Greek historian Herodotus was traveling the world. Around this time, his travels led him to meet the Scythians, a fierce nomadic tribe that
And they
originated
probably smell
from
like
what's
weed.
now known
He
as
probably thought they was
Siberia, but
thugs.
spread across Central Asia from 900 BC until 200 BC. Herodotus reported that the warriors would build weed saunas, using tents and hot rocks to inhale the fumes, which made the Scythians cry out in ecstasy. So we have anecdotal evidence
Is
that
ecstasy
we
a
can
drug?
thank
So it's
the
crying out in
Scythians
drugs?
for the original hot box.
Well, I learned
Weed has
that
been a
sex.
consistent part of many rituals, ceremonies, and festivals for centuries. In India, bhang is made from the cannabis plant and has deep religious ties to the Hindu god Shiva. Some mythological accounts speak of bhang being Lord Shiva's favorite
And ain't
offering.
that who the Indians be praising? I feel like I've seen this at an Indian parade before. They definitely be having this in India parades. Cause he did say the Indians, they be drinking weed smoothies. I know they breath probably smell like container balls, container butt. They gotta stink. You drinking weed smoothies?
In India, bhang is made from the cannabis plant and has deep religious ties to the Hindu god Shiva. Some mythological accounts speak of bhang being Lord Shiva's favorite offering, and the Hindu god is often depicted with the substance in portraits. Since the 5th
Christ
century,
king, man.
bhang has been consumed at the iconic celebrations Holi and Mahashrivati, where it's typically infused in traditional drinks like lassi and tandai.
So
And
weed
in case
smoothies
you
is
weren't aware,
considered
tandai
holy
is a
in
cold,
India.
milky beverage. That's right, a weed milkshake.
Milk and weed. Oh yeah, when I say container butt, add acid container butt. Oh my gosh, I didn't know they added milk, but in order to be a milkshake, they had milk. I just ate. My energy levels should be extended. Where's my brain power? I gotta drink some more water. I've been drinking juice like for the past week, 2 weeks. And my bones feel weak. I need to drink some water. I need to step outside and get some sun.
As time went on, cannabis became prominent in Asia, Africa, and
There, I
Europe,
got low vitamin
sailing
D.
across the seas, which was convenient as hemp was widely used for ships' rigging and sails. And did we already mention rope? Hemp became popular among the white settlers of the Americas in the mid-1600s for agricultural use in the colonies. Did you know that the first president of the United States, George Washington, grew his own hemp crop at
George
Mount Vernon?
Washington was
Well, now he
a
did.
junkie
In
also?
1833, an Irish physician named Dr. William Brooke O'Shaughnessy came to India, where he would spend many years researching the medical benefits after noting the locals using bhang as a remedy. O'Shaughnessy
Just drinking
believed
weed
cannabis
smoothies.
was an untapped medical resource for Western
And
medicine.
he got crazy
used the plant
sideburns.
in
I
an
used to be
attempt
just
to
like
cure
him.
patients suffering from illnesses like rheumatism and cholera. His experiments concluded that cannabis wasn't a cure, but could be used as part of the treatment. O'Shaughnessy also claimed cannabis to be anti-convulsive medication, reportedly using it to stop seizures of a baby and ease the tremors in
They
tetanus
fed
patients.
they fed babies weed smoothies, and I think that explains it. Bro, I'm probably one of the very few Americans that like Indian people, bro. I rock with Indian people. I don't know too many Indian people, but like I just love all human beings. Like I love them, bro. And I be like thinking like, dang, bro, like if I ever get money, bro, I help them out. But this explains a lot. They was drinking weed smoothies as infants, bro. That's why they brain probably the way they brain is, and that's probably why India's in the state that is in right now, bro. They was getting fed weed smoothies, bro. I feel like if they go a generation, this new generation, the 2020, well, this about to be over, 2030, stop feeding the babies weed smoothies and watch how India, like when they turn, watching India in the next 20 years, bro. Different society. They might have flying cars. India is probably like in 1950 right now. Like they're set back. Leave away the weed smoothies. They take away the weed smoothies. They might be like 2002.
Cannabis and Tecate.
2002
indica was a new strain of cannabinoid, getting the nickname
Maybe.
Indian hemp, or
Next
more
50 years, no
famously,
weed
ganja.
smoothies. They're gonna have
New
flying
weed.
planes.
This strain was noted to have added relaxation effects with a side effect of increased delirium. O'Shaughnessy's research paved the way for cannabis to be recognized and used in Western medicine. It became widely accessible in the medical field and popular as an over-the-counter remedy. A staple ingredient in all kinds of concoctions and elixirs, some of those included other drugs such as poppy opium and cocaine, which was incredibly common during the 19th and 20th centuries. In 1850, cannabis appeared for the first time in the United States Pharmacopoeia, a compendium of all the most important drugs in American medicine. Meanwhile, during that same decade in France, the Club des Hashichans was formed, which celebrated more recreational use of the wacky tobacco. But the story of weed isn't all sunshine and roses. While
Right.
weed use got a head start, anti-weed legislation had been carefully marching along behind it. All the way back in 1378, over in the sunny land of Arabia, Sultan Shekoni, the emir of Jonemia, banned the smoking of hash in his domain, which many historians seem to agree was the first time someone legislated against marijuana officially. Marijuana would have an easy ride for a few centuries after that, until the King of Jamaica brought down the ban hammer in 1787. Yes, Jamaica. In the 1800s, for all the advances in marijuana use, both medical and otherwise, that it
Right.
gave us, there were plenty among the powers that be who were striking back. To name a few: Napoleon Bonaparte, the Municipal Council of Rio de Janeiro, British colonies in the Mauritius, South Africa, and India, not to mention rulers in Greece, Singapore, the Ottoman Empire, and Morocco. It was only a matter of time before legislation against marijuana would hit the Americas. Let's jump ahead to 1914, when the United States Congress passed the Harrison Narcotic Act, which
Okay.
greatly impacted the opium trade. Opioids can no longer be dispensed without a prescription, and all narcotics manufacturers and distributors had to be registered under the U.S. Treasury Department. Soon
No.
after, morphine, cocaine, heroin, and other hard substances were completely prohibited by federal law. Despite cannabis being untouched by this new law, it undoubtedly foreshadowed trouble on the horizon. Then came the Volstead Act of 1919, more commonly
Look,
known
gotta
as the
fart. I
Prohibition
ain't gonna do
Act.
it, though.
While it didn't
I'ma
take
hold it
effect
in.
until
Out of
1920,
respect.
that new law was responsible for banning the sale or distribution of all alcoholic beverages. This lasted until 1933. America was running dry, and crimes were running high. Here's a
Damn.
little advice from us. If you happen to find yourself
They doing this
thrown
over
back into
weed?
this era,
See, that's why
watch
I ban
out
it.
for Chicago Thunder.
Hey, vote
So
me.
how did all
Ex for president 2050.
all these new
If
laws
we're still
impact
here.
Mary Jane? Substances
2050
that were
X for
widely
president, I'm
available
banning
now
weed
came with
and porn.
suffocating
I mean
restrictions.
corn.
The rise in addiction-related crimes,
heart
the
torn.
beginnings and
It's a bar.
boomings of black market drugs, misinformation, and exploitation was the perfect combination to stir up a growing fear amongst the general population. Marijuana's reputation as a safe substance had been flipped. It didn't take long for the madness to spread. Reefer Madness came to America's screens in 1936.
goodness.
The exploitation film attempted to portray a dark, cautionary tale to warn young people and their parents about the dangerous devil's lettuce. Get them
Right,
back
they
on the
weren't
path
wrong.
of the straight and narrow. It used highly exaggerated false claims about
No,
the
that's not
drug to
exaggerated.
push its narrative. The most infamous being that cannabis would get the users so high that it would drive them to insanity, causing them to commit heinous acts like murder. The melodramatic picture
Were they
with
wrong?
its bold, iconic posters dripping with occult imagery.
Now they put
had a
fin
bit of
on
an
it, so they probably would see in the
unintended
future.
effect, with the target audience finding it more a comedy than a drama, especially if you were high at the time. No wonder it gained a cult following. Jumping forward briefly, we see decades later in the distant year of 2005, a parody musical of Reefer Madness featuring a very special guest, Jesus, was born. It
Huh?
was very popular with stoners. Anyway, back to the 1930s. Jesus was born. It was a
What?
musical of Reefer Madness featuring a very special guest, Jesus.
Vote me 2050 for president. I'm banning weed. I'm banning weed. I ban weed. And vote me 2050. Also, when I ban weed while I'm president, I'm banning any foot sites. If you have a foot fetish, I'm banning every website that you could buy feet off of. Dead homies. I'm banning this. Oh my gosh, this is highly disrespectful. Not my Jesus. Not my Jesus. Cause this is blasphemy at its finest. Oh my goodness.
Jumping forward briefly, we see decades later in the distant year of 2005, a parody musical of Reefer Madness featuring a very special guest, Jesus, was born. It was very popular with stoners. Anyway, back to the 1930s. An article written by
disrespectful.
the head of the United States Federal Bureau of Narcotics, Harry Anslinger, titled Marijuana, Assassin of Youth, was published in 1937, just a year after Reefer Madness was released. Anslinger wrote that ignorance about the effects of cannabis was the cause of criminal activity, murder, and insanity. That sure sounds familiar. In that same year, the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937 was passed. A yearly tax was placed on all imports, selling and distributing under regulation, and failure to pay was met with prison time and a fine. Legal but heavily regulated, the recreational use of weed started its decline. At least not all was snubbed into an ashtray. The hemp industry was still going. Medical marijuana was still accessible under the right circumstances, but how long would that last?
Right.
In 1942, cannabis was removed from the U.S. pharmacopoeia.
Let's
The
go.
reputation of weed being linked to the shady underground of crime that didn't
So
stop
how it come back?
breakthroughs in research involving the herb. Israeli chemist Raphael
Did it ever come
Makula
back?
isolated and identified THC, that little mind-altering chemical we mentioned earlier, and the structure of cannabinol, CBD, in 1964. This allowed more in-depth studies on just how weed affected the human brain.
Right.
By isolating THC and using CBD, the medical benefits used for centuries were now accessible without the psychoactive high. Don't count THC
So
out.
I didn't know that's how they get the weed edibles. They shoot weed juice into them. I'm learning so much. Have you ever took an edible before? I never have. I've never been not sober. Like I lived my whole life sober, all 20 years. It's a blessing. I'm going to continue to live the rest of my life sober. Man, hey, I encourage y'all to do the same, man.
Yet, more information was discovered during the
I
study
just
on
ate some
how
spaghetti,
THC
like,
could
it's
be
starting to
used in
hit me, not gonna
therapeutic
lie.
treatments. During the 60s, a new era of free love was emerging, and Mary Jane became linked to the hippies, who brought with them a wave of new revolution against social norms. through the use of
this was the
fashion,
hippie era.
Political rebellion
that a
pushing the
tank?
call for peace, and love over war. And of course, music, sexuality, freedom of expression, and psychedelics. Cannabis use was extremely popular amongst those involved in the movement. 1967 saw the Summer of Love. Hundreds of thousands of people flooded the streets of the Haight-Ashbury district located in San Francisco in celebration of freedom, peace, art, music, good vibes, and getting blazed. Flower power. This unplanned
I'm
but
banning
significant
it.
event caught mass media attention, and not everyone was happy about this new movement. Enter, stage left, the 37th President of the United States, Richard Nixon. Nixon was primed to start a war, and his target was narcotics. The war on drugs was declared in 1971. Nixon stated drug abuse was the American public's greatest enemy, while in private hoping to use cannabis as a cudgel against his predominantly hippie and black political opponents. Nixon signed the Controlled Substances Act, which listed cannabis as Schedule I narcotic, putting
You see me falling asleep and ain't gonna wake me up. That's the type of people you are. You just gonna sit here and just laugh at me, huh? Couldn't hit me on my shoulder, tap me on my shoulder, come like, yo, bro, wake up. You got a video to make? Huh? That's how you coming, bro? Bet. I see. Nah. Don't, I see now. No, don't try to. No, I know your true colors. You was gonna let me fall asleep. Cool. Now I'm up now. Let me.
Substances like heroin. Drugs in this category are deemed to have the highest risk of being abused and contain no medical value. In 1973, the Drug Enforcement Administration was brought together by combining the Office for Drug Abuse Law Enforcement, the Office of Narcotics Intelligence, and the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs to further crack down on these new laws. How could it possibly escalate from here? Well, the answer comes from the 1980s.
1980s.
Tricky Dick was out of the pick,
Who?
and Ronald Reagan will to further crack down on these new laws. How could it possibly escalate from here? Well, the answer comes from the 1980s. Tricky Dick was out of the pick, and Ronald Reagan...
Call me childish what you want, but his parents is messed up for that. You named your child that, bro? I could only imagine his I could only imagine his school years. I can only imagine his school years, which I think his nickname was. I think I just call him Tricky, Trick. His nickname is probably Trick, TD. What else? I don't know.
Was now the United States president. During his presidency from 1981 to 1989, Reagan held his stance firm that marijuana had no place amongst the American public. The Anti-Drug Abuse Act of 1986.
I stand with him.
US federal funding.
Clap it up for Reagan.
Creating a minimum sentence
for that. I don't really know about. I knew too much about him as a
monetary
president.
and incarceration penalties for those crimes.
And why are you showing only black people though? Is that a Jamaican bad man?
Cocaine and
that a
crimes
Lubumba
such
clap?
as possession saw a massive spike. A pretty intense sentence for a small herb. But why? Marijuana was often called a gateway drug.
Yeah.
Thus, it was argued that it was just as dangerous as the other Schedule I narcotics it shared the list with.
Yeah.
President Reagan's wife, Nancy Reagan,
I agree.
was also heavily involved in this war, privately funding a new campaign, Just Say No.
And so that's where say no to drugs came from. In the 1980s, say no to drugs.
Concerns
I
of
still
rising drug
I
abuse
listened
and
to
crimes
school. I should have
against
listened.
school-aged children. Then came the Drug Abuse Resistance Education
How many people
Program,
started off
or
with just
DARE,
weed and went to fentanyl?
founded in
Let me know in the comments
1983 in
if
Los
you're one of
Angeles.
them.
You might be familiar with it, or at the very least familiar with its legendarily corny PSAs. This program infiltrated schools across the U.S., taught by police officers accompanied by a cartoon lion mascot called Darren the Lion. Incorporating the Just Say No campaign into its works, presenting the dangers of addiction and strategies to combat peer pressure through speaking at schools across America before they set off on a global campaign equipped with the aforementioned
Was people out here actually getting peer pressured? Have you ever got truly peer pressured?
public service announcements. One of the more bizarre but infamous PSAs came from 1987. This is your brain on drugs. It depicts a
And
man
they
picking
fried
up an
him.
egg, claiming it to be the brain, then cracking it into a hot skillet. The skillet, of course, the drugs. The egg sizzles
pan.
away while menacingly holding the frying pan, asking the audience if they
Menacingly.
have any questions. Needless to say, even today it's often referenced in parody. In
Now, I feel like this your
1996,
brain on
California
TikTok.
became the first state to legalize the medicinal use of cannabis under Proposition 215, the
Oh.
Compassionate Use Act of 1996, a historical milestone for the campaign to legalize medical marijuana in America. Just a year prior, bills were approved by state legislatures but were vetoed by the state governor at the time, Peter Wilson. When this happened, advocates of the cause didn't back down. They took the vote to the people, and the people said yes. 14 states soon legalized the use of medical cannabis, and the times were changing.
That's crazy. So do y'all think that's like what helped California be so popular or get so popular? It's a lot that go around in California. It's a whole lot, man. A whole lot of wicked. Hey, if y'all had, say if y'all was president, right, and y'all just had to like nuke a whole state, like what state y'all nuking? Like if you don't have to kill the people in it. What would y'all nuke though? Like if y'all had to remove any state, would y'all move Cali? Am I just yapping because I'm tired? Maybe.
Not just in the U.S. Weed became legal for medical use in the Netherlands in 2000, followed by Canada in 2001, before later becoming legal, at least for medical use, in Austria circa 2008, and
How old
Uruguay,
were you in
Italy,
2008?
Romania, and the Czech Republic, as well
I
as
was
France
2.
in 2013.
Good
There
times.
were plenty more after that, but we respect your time and figure you'd probably just get sick of us listing off different country names. Back to the old US of A. Weed in pop culture became more mainstream in the 90s and 2000s,
Yep.
even popularizing a previously niche subgenre of the film, stoner comedies or stoner films. We think the title explains it all. Non-exploitation films surrounding marijuana can
Remember, I
be
used to listen to that song all the time, bro. That's when I had like my first phone. I remember like I have a specific moment, like I was on punishment, but I had that I had that phone still, cause we was going to a Wizards game, and this one, when Wizards had John Wall, Brad Bill, Nene, Goddard. They was a good team. I remember they was playing the Bulls, and I remember I would just listen to that song with my AirPods just bumping like I'm a stunner, 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 stunner. He said, stunner, stunner, stunner. He said, hey, that was a good song. Young me had swag, bruh. And I had my mohawk. Both sides was overly bald. Did y'all have a bald faded mohawk? No, I didn't have bald faded mohawks. And if y'all didn't have a bald faded mohawk, I can't respect you. I can't respect you in your childhood, bro. I'm sorry. I know you didn't grow up to be a man if you did not have a bald fade mohawk. If you didn't have bald fade mohawks, don't talk to me, bro. I can't respect you again. Sorry.
Back to the
Sorry.
60s with Easy Rider.
Only
in
real men had mohawks
1969,
growing up.
But that film is far from giggles
Real
and good
swagger.
vibes. The comedy part of stoner comedy started back in 1978 with Up in Smoke, starring now iconic duo Richard Anthony Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong. But what about the music, man? Weed was heavily associated with music icon Snoop Dogg.
Snoop
featuring
Dogg, yeah,
references
Snoop Dogg's
to
a
the
big
drug since his
junkie.
debut on Dr. Dre's 1992 album titled The Chronic. Snoop wasn't shy about his love of marijuana, speaking publicly about his personal use.
I think
and
Snoop Dogg would
support
like
for
me
the
if I
movement to
banned
legalize
weed and
one of his most
when
popular
I get
singles
president.
came
If I
from
get president.
2001 with "Smoke Weed Every Day."
Nah, he
Still
did.
one
He
of
did
the
make that
world's
song.
most beloved
Da-da-da-da-da.
stoner anthems. In 2015, Leafs by Snoop was founded.
I ain't gonna lie though, if you actually smoking weed and you play this song while smoking weed, you deserve your neck smacked 100%. If you smoke weed every day, da 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 da, it's Snoop Dogg. If you having a hot box session and you play that song, I might smack your neck after you leave the box. You just deserve one of those, bro. Just like a reality check. Like, gang, you're a dweeb. That's dweeb activity. If you having a hot box session and I hear smoke weed every day, come on, bro. Look at your and if you did that before, look at yourself in the mirror, bro, and realize I might be a dweeb. You might be a dweeb. Don't be a dork.
Most beloved.
Don't play that song while smoking.
In 2015, Leafs by Snoop was founded, making its own cannabis strains and products like edibles. Given the highly radicalized nature of the war on marijuana, which we can thank Nixon for, it's definitely a step in the right direction for black pop culture figures like Snoop Dogg to finally profit off the plant that the government was previously using to haul them off to jail.
Boom,
While the
good.
legalization of marijuana for medical use has a pretty illustrious history at this point, the legal battles
That's
of
a wild
recreational
fate.
marijuana, especially in the United States,
Got
have
an
been
index card
considerably
fade.
more fraught. In 2012, Colorado and Washington became the first states to legalize recreational use of pot. As of today, despite marijuana still being forbidden on a federal level, 38 U.S. states, 3 territories, and the District of Columbia allow the use of medical cannabis.
Oh, DC?
But
Okay.
which was the first country to fully legalize it? That title belongs to Uruguay. In
Uruguay.
2013,
You ever heard of
it
Uruguay?
completely legalized cannabis for medical and recreational
First time for me.
use, landmarking it as the
From what I
first
could think
country in
of.
the world to make weed completely legal. And since then, it's been joined by
Th-
some
I thought that
illustrious
was
fellow
Argentina.
weed havens: Georgia, South Africa, Canada, Mexico, Malta, Thailand, and Luxembourg. And given that none of
He 100% didn't say none of these things. I did not hear Mexico.
Africa, Canada, Mexico, Malta,
Oh, okay, I might be slow.
Thailand, and Luxembourg. And given that none of these countries
Those
have
sound
fully
like
collapsed
those sound
into
like,
the verge-like
cities.
anarchy since legislation, it's safe to say a lot of the fear-mongering of the past was probably overblown. Current United States President Joe Biden stated in 2022
Joey.
that he would pardon prior offenses of possession of cannabis, encouraging state governors to follow his example. Biden asked for the cooperation of the Secretary of Health and Human Resources and the Attorney General to start the process needed to get a revision of that decision. Progress for marijuana advocates has been forced to take baby steps throughout most of recent history. But if the waves of legalization across the 2010s remain an enduring trend, the 2020s are likely to be an extremely good decade for the dankest among us. Regardless of whether you partake yourself, there's no denying that weed truly has a remarkable history. From its humble rise as a simple crop, to its blazing fall as a narcotic, to its revival as medicine, and maybe someday as a normalized drug like alcohol, caffeine, and tobacco.
Right.
There's so much history.
Hey man, what did y'all learn about this cannabis? It does have a long history. I know a lot of people that indulged in this. I have yet to touch it, and I don't think I'm gonna ever touch it. I know I'm not gonna ever touch it. You know, I don't think you could pay me to do it. You could put $1 billion in my face. I'm not taking that hit. They the homies. Man, what y'all learned though? Hopefully y'all learned a lot from this video. I know Thtman.x is in full effect. School ready to start back up, so I'm just getting y'all back in the groove. I'm not even back in the groove myself, so. Alright, my bad. But like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Now you could leave. Class is dismissed. You could go.